The value of a man lies not in what he takes, but in what he quietly gives, even when the world isn't watching. In a quiet monastery garden, among rows of green peas and fading sunlight, a quiet man changed the future of biology without even knowing it. This is the story of Gregor Mendel, the forgotten monk who uncovered the hidden language of heredity. He was born in 1822 in a humble village in what is now the Czech Republic. A boy named Johann Mendel, the son of farmers. From a young age, he was drawn not to the plow, but to books, questions, and the world beyond the soil. Despite poverty and illness, Mendel studied hard. He joined the Augustinian monastery in Brno, where he took the name Gregor. It was a place of faith and learning where monks grew apples, made wine, and, in Mendel's case, planted peas. But these were no ordinary peas. In the monastery garden, Mendel noticed something. Some peas were tall, others short. Some were smooth, others wrinkled. Why? At the time, the prevailing scientific belief was known as blending inheritance. The idea that offspring were simply a smooth mix of their parents, much like mixing two colors of paint. A tall plant and a short plant, they believed, should produce a medium-sized one. But Mendel, with his keen eye and quantitative mind, saw something fundamentally different. Over 8 years, he performed over 29,000 crossbreeding experiments. He kept meticulous records, counting, observing, hypothesizing. But before this quiet brilliance, there were failures. Mendel had tried to become a science teacher, but he failed his certification exams twice. Not because he lacked curiosity, but because formal education didn't fit how he thought. Ironically, the man who couldn't pass a science test would go on to rewrite how science understands life. Mendel focused on single traits at a time: seed color, pod shape, flower position, tracked them through successive generations. He recorded not just the presence of a trait, but its numbers, its ratios. This quantitative approach, applying mathematics to the living world, was revolutionary for its time. What he discovered was astonishing. Traits weren't blended like paint. They were inherited in patterns, dominant and recessive. The building blocks of heredity moved in predictable ways. Mendel called them factors. We now call them genes. In 1866, he published his findings, but no one noticed. The world wasn't ready. His paper was ignored, his theory dismissed. He became abbot of the monastery, responsible for managing land, clergy, and budgets. His scientific work stopped. He died in 1884, having returned to quiet monastic life, a failed scientist in the eyes of his time. And yet, decades later, as biologists searched for answers in the newly forming field of genetics, they found Mendel's work buried in archives waiting, like seeds under snow. Suddenly, his experiments became the foundation of modern genetics. DNA, inheritance, evolution, they all rest on the laws he unearthed with nothing more than patience, precision, and pea plants. And here's a quiet twist of fate. Charles Darwin was alive when Mendel published his paper. They were contemporaries, but Darwin never read it. Had he seen Mendel's laws, the theory of evolution and genetics might have united decades earlier. Mendel never saw fame, never knew how his work would change the world. But perhaps he didn't need to, because what he gave us wasn't glory, it was clarity. He taught us that life has rules even if they are hidden, that nature has patterns, if you're patient enough to see them, and that even the quietest work, done in faith and solitude, can echo across centuries. So next time you hear about CRISPR, genetic testing, or evolution, remember the monk in the garden, the man who counted peas and uncovered the code of life. My scientific studies have afforded me great gratification, Mendel once wrote. I am convinced that it will not be long before the whole world acknowledges the results of my work. If this story inspired you, please subscribe. More lives like Mendel's, quiet revolutionaries, unseen pioneers, and forgotten visionaries are coming soon.